Regulatory concerns subsiding. What exactly does that mean, Camilla?
Well, what really sparked this rebound was last week there was a Senate hearing on cryptocurrencies, and SEC and CFTC heads adopted a very do no harm approach, which means they said, okay, we're watching the space. Investors need protection, but they didn't indicate that there was a strong hardline ban in consideration at all. More of like a wait and see approach. So that really, sparked more optimism in the sector.
So what's the timeline now? Because that was just a hearing, sort of to talk about it. Do we know if there is going to be some kind of increased regulation? And if so, when are we maybe going to hear about it?
There isn't an exact timeline in the works, but what we started to see end of last year, beginning of this year, was just an increased crackdown on ICOs that the SEC considered to be breaking securities regulations. So we might start seeing more of that, because so far we've only seen a handful. I think it's been only 3 ICOs that whose funds were seized, and that's a very, very small number considering the amount of money that's been raised, and the percentage of that which might be in largely violating securities regulations, probably. And besides, on the U.S. side, we saw negative headlines subsiding from the rest of the world. I mean, beginning of this year, we saw really big negative news from South Korea and China saying they're considering banning ICOs completely or restricting trading even further, and those headlines have subsided.